So the market is bleeding, and we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of it. Guys, welcome to Market Recap. My name is George McPherson, and we're just going to dive into what's going on in the market. I'm going to show you guys what we took as far as trades today, the setup, and then afterwards, I'm going to give you a trade that you could possibly, or a possible trade that you could look at for tomorrow as well. So let me go ahead and jump over to my screen, and then we could go ahead from there. So right here, make this entire. All right, so here we go, guys. So before I jump into that, let's go ahead and take a look at what we called out today as far as for trades. Today we had a great setup as far as for MU. MU showed the potential. We have MU being bearish on the month. You can see that we broke the month to the downside, create an engulfing candle. And on the 3 month, we didn't do anything yet, but on the 3 month, we're setting up for a great opportunity as well for the 3 month. If you look at the candle that is created, now we did gap up on the 3 month, so these gaps have to close eventually. Not saying that they will close in the next couple of weeks, but it could take a while for it to close, right? With this gap, when it gapped up, you could see that this is a 3 month candle. Almost 3 months it took from the time it gap up to the time it's going back down to close. So great opportunities as far as for the market. You can see the gap right here on the monthly time frame, right? So that gap have to close, but in the daily, on the daily, you could see that there's multiple gaps that need to close regardless, right? And you could play gaps, but one of the things that when you're playing gaps, you have to make sure that you have time. Now, guys, I do trade options. I don't trade Forex. I don't trade futures. I trade options. So with that, you have to make sure one of the most important things is that you have time on your contracts, especially if you're looking at a weekly trade or a monthly trade. Now, with this today, we saw the setup. I sent this to the group as far as for puts. I said if we break the daily on this to the downside, then we take it for puts. And if you notice, this did over 100% as far as on puts for the day, and we're still dropping. Pre-market, we're down another $7. So this was a great trade as far as for today. And then I also had Roku um, in our chat. But one thing I did not like about Roku, I saw it early, right? And when I saw the break, it gapped up. I don't like trading gaps, guys, but it gapped up right at the day break. Okay, so right of previous day break. What I didn't like though is that when it pulled back, if you notice when you look at the 15 minute, first 15 minute, we pulled back, right? So we pulled back and then popped back up, right? But one of the things is when I went to get in the trade, when I wanted to get in the trade, I looked at the spreads and the spreads was crazy. So because the spreads was crazy, I did not get in that trade. And one of the things that you have to realize is when you're trading options, right, you have to pay attention to the spreads. If the spreads are not favorable, then don't trade it. That's just it, because you don't want to get caught holding the bag. You might say, well, you know what, the trade is going up, it's moving in my direction, but why am I not profitable? And it could be because of the spreads. So these two we called out in our group. We actually called out more, but those were swing trades. So I don't want to talk about those swing trades because they're still profitable. One, I could actually talk about this one because people made money. And at that point, I did call out Intel for one of our swing trades. And Intel definitely did its thing as far as that. Intel broke the weekly to the downside, and it definitely gave the money again. This one was over 100% profit. Depends on the time you choose for your contracts, right? If you choose this week for your contracts, then you did over 100%. You could see in our chat, people made 60%, all that stuff. But if you took it on a 2 week contract, which is what we recommend when you're doing swing trades, minimum 2 to 3 weeks out, then at that point you would have made like 40% on your trade, right? Just in one day. So this already hit target on the weekly. So whatever else that happened is just gravy on that for us. So that's one of them. I'm looking at it right now. All of the trades as far as the swing trades broke already, and they are profitable. I just don't want to say which ones it is right now. If you want to learn more about our swing trades, my wife is the one that call out the swing trades. You could go ahead and jump in our Discord. The link is going to be in the description, right? But either way, that's the trades. Now, again, this is said to be like, real quick as far as, what market recap. We see a lot of downside, and we've been seeing downsides on all of them. So if you look at QQQ has been bearish. I told everyone in our group that QQQ had a gap that needed to be filled, and that already filled. It played around for a while, but I said the gap needs to be filled at 590, and it took a minute to do it. But last week when it broke it, it gapped down at that point when it broke, when it did it, and then afterwards, once that gap filled, we just continue to fall. We did break to the downside, right? So the next support level is going to be 550. That is a psych level. Expect to get to 550 at some point with buying happening at that point. Right now we're at 555. That's a psych level as well. But one thing you want to notice going into tomorrow is that tomorrow is the last day of the month. So you have to look at that as far as what does the monthly candle looks like. And right now, if you look at the monthly candle, we're hitting a support level on the month where we popped up from right there. So even though we're bearish, what can happen for tomorrow is we can push up, right? For tomorrow, we can push up, end the month off with a bigger wick at the right here, and then we pull up and then continue to drop next month, right? Now, this is a 3 month. So if you look at the 3 month on this, we already broke to the downside. So 3 month, we still can come down. This is a favorable spot at 550. Now, if we open up tomorrow at 550, expect a bounce to happen at 550. Okay, we could see a bounce happening at 550 because it's a psych level. We hit 550. That will hit targets on the monthly. That will hit targets on the 3 month. And at that point, we can bounce back to the upside, right? But if we open up tomorrow and we open up at the 553, we could break down and then hit 555. We could break down and hit that level and then bounce back up. Just look for some type of reversal back to the upside. Now, are we going to be bullish? No, we trade based on what the chart gives us every single day. So if the chart gives us a put, a bearish signal for the day, then that's what we're doing. If it gives us a bullish signal for the day, then that's what we're doing. We're not going to say, listen, every day we're doing puts, every day we're doing puts. No, the opportunity is always where it presents itself. Sometimes it will give you a perfect trade setup to the upside. So today on the 15-minute, it showed you a great trade. Actually, I saw it on a 5-minute. I didn't take it because I did other trades. I don't trade no more than 3 times for the day. So because I don't trade more than 3 times for the day, I did not take this trade. But I saw the rejection up here on the 5-minute, saw the break of that 5-minute, and I wanted to get in, but I was already in another trade. And I think that was my 3rd trade for the day. So what we did today was we did Apple as far as for puts on Apple. So we did Apple for puts, took our profit right out the gate. I waited for the break of the 15, took my profit right down here, took about 20%. Now, one of the things that you guys have to realize is Apple, AMD, a lot of these contracts, I think AMD as well, but Apple, AVGO, Microsoft, Meta, those went to daily or every other day contracts. With that, the contracts move a lot faster and it can kill your contract as far as for theta. So you want to make sure that you're taking profit right off the gate. You can keep runners, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you take your profit. With this break of the 15-minute right here, we was up 20% right on that drop. Right on this drop on the 15-minute candle, which we took our profit, saw that we was testing a support level right here, and then we just took profit all the way down here, and then that was it on the trade. Less than 15 minutes, but that's what it's all about. You take your profit. There's no reason why you should be up a certain amount and not taking profit. It's just crazy to me. So you'll never see somebody laugh at you for taking profit. What somebody will laugh at you at is if you're up 100% or more and did not take profit and end up losing on that trade. Now that to me is insanity, right? So Apple we took on a trade, we took MU, and then we took Amazon as well. Saw Amazon, and we took Amazon as well. We took Amazon both ways, actually. So I took Amazon on a put. Is this a 5 minute? So we took Amazon on a put that was really quick as well. So saw the break right here. Took Amazon on a put. Wanted to close the gap down here, but took the profit 15% just on this drop right here on a 0 DTE contract. So took the profit right out the gate, and then afterwards we popped up, right? And we popped up, saw the break of this 15-minute right here. I got in on the break thinking we're gonna push up back to day high right here, but we consolidated for a while, got chopped up for a while, and eventually popped up, which gave me over 100% on those contracts, just like that. So you have to make sure that you're monitoring your trades, guys. Sometimes, yes, if you're trading a 0 DTE contract, just know that you can get chopped up. You can be down a lot faster. So you have to trade, be willing to lose what you're trading in a sense. So if you're in and you say, listen, you know what, I'm willing to lose this amount, just know that once you get in that trade, just count your money as gone in certain sense. But you have to make sure that your risk management is set up properly when you're trading. Now for tomorrow, right? For tomorrow, what am I looking at? I have several different stocks that I'm looking at, but I'm going to give you one that I see that's really enticing, and that's going to be Starbucks. Right? So Starbucks for tomorrow looks really good. Reason why I like Starbucks, there's a couple reasons. We're under the 200 on Starbucks. We're also under the 200 on the weekly and the daily. Okay, so we're under the 200 on the weekly and the daily, which calls for a bearish move. Okay, everything is dropping, but you have to realize too, one of the tricky parts about these trades is that you have to look at how much these stocks drop in a monthly time frame. So you have to look at how much this dropped. The high on Starbucks for the month is 102.44. The low is 85, right? So you're talking about almost a $20 drop on Starbucks in a month. That to me is crazy. That's a 20% drop, right? So in a sense, a lot of times you'll hear about recession, all those stuff when you're in a bearish market. A good standpoint where you could buy stocks is when you see a 20% retracement. However, there's times where the stock will continue to drop. So instead of going in full position on a stock, you might be able to say, listen, you know what? I'm just going to go in and dollar cost average. If you want to put $5,000 in a stock, then maybe, hey, you put $1,000 first in it. And as it drop, you dollar cost average down in it if you're looking at it for long term. This is not if you're trading and you're looking at it as a day trade. If it keeps on dropping, you need to get out because it's a day trade. It's going against you. But if you're looking at something to get into long term that you think is strong and it's on sale right now, this is where you say, okay, it's 20% down on a month. Hey, I'm getting it for a good deal. You could look at it like that. On a 3-month standpoint, we're looking bearish. All of these are looking bearish, especially with the 3-month. If the 3-month ends like this, I will be looking at Starbucks to come down more if we break the 3-month low. At that point, we could come all the way back down to $75, right? So $75 could be a play as well. If you notice, we still haven't hit that line. So if you look, there's a trend going on right here, right? That if you notice, we have support, all this stuff. So we can come back all the way down here. At that point, this would be a better entry, right? But like I said, if you feel like you don't want to miss out on something, you could put some as far as dollar cost average in there as well. So for Starbucks, on tomorrow's opportunity, I will be looking for a break of either side. Now, I like downside more than upside. The reason why I say that, with the upside, we are at the 200. Now, we can pop up to the 200. This is what? A daily. So if this is a daily, if we pop up above the day, then I'll be looking for calls on Starbucks, right? But one thing I don't like is that we have a rejection at the 200, so we can reject the 200. However, because it's Starbucks, you're talking about from 87.87, which is a price right there, to right here at the 200, which is 88.67. That's almost a dollar move. So in a sense, that's a good 20-30% profit on Starbucks with a dollar move. Just you have to look at the delta and all that stuff. But you could definitely make some money right there if you do an $88 call on the break of that. You're gonna be in the money once you get to 88, 66 cents or 63 cents in the money. You're going to make some type of money as far as on options, right? If you want to be a safer side, then you could get contracts more out. So you could get a 2-week contract. The only thing with 2 weeks contract, yes, you lose more if you have pullbacks, but if you're wrong, you're wrong. Get out the trade, right? This is not a swing trade. This is a day trade. So there's no reason to hold on to a trade for a longer period. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Get out. So with that, I'll be looking at contracts for this week, not for next week. If it was a swing trade, then that will be different. I'll be looking for contracts, 2 or 3 weeks out. If it breaks, which I'm thinking most likely we can break because to the downside, if we break to the downside at that point, then you have levels as well that it will test, which is the downside right here. If we break the downside, the first test is going to be the support line that we have right here, right? If we break that line, which is the weekly low as well, right, then we're going to fall. We're in a buy level, but we're going to fall. Where can we fall to? You always have to think about psych levels. So no matter what price will people want to buy Starbucks at? It will be $85. So you're talking about the low of this candle, or where support line is right at 85.66. If someone see Starbucks at $85, guess what? That's a great level for them to buy that. And the reason why I say that is you have to think about it as, for someone that's been watching Starbucks, they watch Starbucks ran up, right? Completely run up, and they'd be like, man, I missed out on Starbucks. I could have got in right here and I didn't, and I saw Starbucks run all the way up to 104. So they said, listen, you know what? I'm not buying Starbucks at 104. But what I will do is I will buy it the next time it dropped down to 85. Or I will buy it the next time it dropped down to 75. There's people that will buy it at psych level. There's a lot of people that probably buy it at $100 because, hey, guess what? We came down from 104 and they buy it at $100, think it's going to go up more. But we reject from there. And what you have to understand with trading is once we get to a psych level, if it hasn't been there in a minute, which we haven't been there in a minute as far as $100, right? What, March 2025? So because we haven't been there in a minute, once we hit that psych level at $100, you can expect that to come back down at some point, which once it hit the $100 mark, we pushed past the $100, went to 104. This is a weekly candle, but look what happened right afterwards. We completely dropped right back down to 190 as soon as it hit $100. Then it find its way back up to $100 again, but guess what? It got smacked all the way back down again. So those are the things that you have to pay attention to as far as psych levels. Psych levels are going to be important when you're talking about trading, but you have to pay attention to those. Take your profit at some point. Don't think that this is going to run all the way to $1 million. It won't. So you have to be willing to say, listen, you know what? I'm okay with taking 20%. I'm okay with taking 30%. I'm okay with taking 10%. But be okay with whatever profit that you make on your trades. Don't ever be greedy. There's always opportunities in the market every single day, right? You just have to be patient. So with that, right now, I'm looking at Starbucks for tomorrow. Right now, Starbucks on the weekly, this is a weekly, we came close to the 200. A lot of times we don't have to hit the 200 for it to reject the 200. Now, would it be good if it hit the 200? Yes, it will be good if it hit the 200 because you could see the rejection at that point, which you have to go to a lower time frame to look for your rejection. But one of the things right here is I'm going to put that red line there because it may match up with, look at that, the 200 match up on the daily and the weekly. So we can expect if we break the high tomorrow, we may go up to the 200 and reject that 200 as well. So make sure that if you get into calls tomorrow on Starbucks with this setup, then make sure that you're taking profit, at least scaling out, doing something at this level, because we have the 200 that's right on the daily and the weekly, right? So you could expect some type of reaction when the price hits there. Apart from that, that is going to be my market recap for today, guys. One of the things is that I always remind people of is don't chase, don't fall for FOMO, wait for the right setup, be patient, be disciplined, and then execute. But apart from that, guys, hope you have amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for market recap again.